lot of it too can be people that are trolling. A lot of people that are talking. But for me, it's like, I am someone that already puts so much pressure on myself. And so for you to come in and tell me like, dang, you're like the worst person I've ever seen in my life. It's like, you know what? Hear me out. I'm gonna leave. Yeah. You can stay. I'm going to exit. Yeah. I hate when people get into this whole talking about what they think our locker room is like and what they think. I'm like, first of all, you're not in here. No. So you have no idea. And also, we're professionals. So if we want you to see something, you'll happily see it. If we don't, I guarantee you, you would never know there's a single problem. Why? Because that's none of your business, and we have more priority.
That sound you just heard? It's the crack of someone hitting their limit. Indiana Fever standout Aaliyah Boston recently shared the exact moment when the constant noise became unbearable. The point where endless negativity, criticism, and online trolling pushed her to make a decision. Engage with the chaos or protect her mental peace. She chose to step away. But this wasn't simply a case of random online hate. To those paying attention, it was clearly part of a bigger, manufactured narrative. A fake rivalry, engineered by certain media voices and amplified by platforms hungry for clicks, turned the excitement surrounding Caitlin Clark into a storyline of jealousy and resentment. That fire was then unfairly aimed at Clark's teammates, with Aaliyah Boston standing out as one of the main targets. In this breakdown, we're connecting the dots to reveal the hidden cost of that media-fueled drama. We'll highlight the key comments that sparked the backlash, examine the tactics used to create a crisis out of thin air, and show how the non-stop pressure eventually pushed Boston to her breaking point. This is the untold story of how a fake feud caused very real damage. If you're someone who values the truth behind the headlines and are tired of manufactured drama, make sure to support this content. It lets us know you want real stories, not just noise. Now, let's rewind and trace how things reached this tipping point. The narrative didn't just appear on its own. It was deliberately inserted into the conversation. And one of the main figures who played a role in that injection was WNBA legend Sheryl Swoopes. In 2024 and into early 2025, Swoopes made a series of public statements that helped frame the Fever in chaos narrative. These weren't just casual takes. They often leaned on unverified rumors.
Fever, we're like, y'all.
That's not my point. There's a lot of other going on that players are like, this ain't where I want to be.
Over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's some new shit going on around there.
It's a lot. Yeah. So you have players that are very significant on this Indiana Fever team that are like, I don't
want to be here.
This is where I want to be.
There's a lot of shit going on. What kind of things do you
I'm not in the locker room.
Okay. I'm talking
about more social media.
Okay. It's a turn. Right? It's a turn, right? It's really a turn of the tides.
Right. Gil, here's my point. The beginning of the year, right? Everybody saw it.
Let's set the record straight on what really went down. Sheryl Swoopes went public with claims that some of Indiana Fever's most important players didn't even want to be part of the team. That kind of statement wasn't just casual commentary, it implied serious dysfunction inside the locker room. But when asked about her sources, she didn't point to coaches, agents, or front office leaks. Instead, she pointed to social media. By her own admission, she hadn't been inside the locker room at all, yet she presented these rumors as if they were facts. This is a classic play in narrative warfare: launch a bold, negative claim, attribute it to vague or anonymous voices, and make it nearly impossible to directly disprove. From there, media outlets, smelling clicks, picked up the story and spread it. In a matter of days, a baseless online rumor had been elevated into a national sports debate framed as a legitimate crisis. Once that spark was lit, it landed right on the fuel that was already waiting: the Caitlin Clark phenomenon. Now, to be clear, Clark's arrival and the attention she brought to the WNBA have been overwhelmingly positive. Aaliyah Boston herself has been one of the first to celebrate that impact. But for certain outlets chasing drama, the massive spotlight wasn't just an opportunity. It became a weapon. What should have been seen as growth for the league was twisted into a pressure cooker environment. Suddenly, every small moment, missed passes, quick huddles, sideline expressions, was treated like evidence of a deeper feud. Online commentators and self-styled detectives were analyzing body language like it was a political scandal. A simple frustrated look after a bad play was turned into proof of resentment. A routine miscommunication was framed as hostility. And every conclusion pointed in the same direction: a supposed rift between rookies and veterans. The entire narrative rested on exaggeration, misinterpretation, and, at times, outright fantasy. No one understood the absurdity of that storyline more than Aaliyah Boston herself. In a recent interview, she described a moment that highlighted just how far the media chatter had drifted from the team's actual reality.
Oh my gosh, there was so much locker room talk, and
everybody I talked to were like, we vibe, we're good.
I was like, what are we talking about? Like, it's so easy for people to just make all these assumptions. So people are like, oh my gosh, her body language, she was not happy, she hates this entire squad. I don't know, sometimes when you have a bad game personally, that takes a toll on you.
Yeah,
it's 100%. Not that you don't like the team, it's not you, but that takes a toll on you. Every single night we come out, we want to play good. And so like all the time there were locker room talks. I forgot what was the conversation one time. I woke up from my nap, getting ready to go to pregame. People are like, oh, they hate each other. We walked in the locker room, we're like, girl, you good?
Yeah.
I'm like, I just woke up. I couldn't tell you what's happening right now, but all I know is we about to hoop at 7 p.m.
Think about that for a moment. While social media was flooded with wild theories and conspiracies about supposed friction inside the Fever locker room, the reality for the players couldn't have been more different. Aaliyah Boston literally woke up from a nap, checked her phone, and then walked into a locker room full of laughter and teammates joking around. The difference between the online story and the real atmosphere was like night and day. That contrast reveals the truth. The feud was nothing more than smoke and mirrors, a storyline invented by people far removed from the team's actual dynamic. The media painted a picture of hidden hostility and simmering resentment, but in reality, the relationships were professional, relaxed, and even playful. One of the first things Boston did when Caitlin Clark joined the team was directly acknowledge their past as college rivals. And how did she handle it? With humor. Not tension, not jealousy, just a simple joke that cleared the air and set the tone for moving forward. That's not the behavior of someone consumed with envy. That's the sign of a leader who understands how to build trust and set a positive example. But here's the problem. That kind of story doesn't get clicks. Genuine maturity and healthy team chemistry don't fuel headlines. What sells is conflict. And so the fake feud narrative was mined for all it was worth, even as it began to take a heavy toll. What often gets left out of the media's version is the human cost. They highlight the drama, the supposed rivalries, and the manufactured beef, but they rarely show the impact on the individuals being targeted. For Aaliyah Boston, the non-stop negativity didn't just stay in the realm of basketball talk. It became deeply personal. The narrative empowered strangers online to attack her character on a daily basis, turning every scroll through her phone into a barrage of hostility. And that was the weight that eventually pushed her to the breaking point.
It too can be people that are trolling. A lot of people are talking. But for me, it's like, I am someone that already puts so much pressure on myself. And so for you to come in and tell me like, dang, you're like the worst person I've ever seen in my life. It's like, you know what? Hear me out. I'm going to leave.
Yeah.
You can stay. I'm going to exit. I hate when people get into this whole talking about what they think our locker room is like and what they think. I'm like, first of all, you're not in here.
No.
So you have no idea. And also, we're professionals. So if we want you to see something, you'll happily see it. If we don't, I guarantee you, you would never know there's a single problem. Why? Because that's none of your business, and we have more priorities, and that's winning.
Listen closely to those words. For you to come in and tell me, dang, you're the worst player I've ever seen in my life. That right there is the hidden cost of all this. Critiquing a performance is one thing, that's part of the job for any professional athlete. But when it crosses over into attacking someone's worth as both a player and a person, that's a whole different level. Thousands of people, fueled by a false narrative, decided they had permission to tear her down. So when Aaliyah Boston made the decision to step away from social media, it wasn't weakness. It was strength. It was self-preservation. It was a professional athlete drawing a line and saying, enough. And that brings up an important question. Where should the line be? Is fair criticism part of the game? Or has online culture gone too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear what you think. But here's the bigger picture. Boston's move wasn't just about her personal peace of mind. It was also a professional statement. She reminded everyone that while outsiders were obsessing over drama, the Indiana Fever were focused on one thing: winning basketball games. She made it crystal clear that the locker room was off-limits to outside noise and that the only voices that mattered were the ones putting in the work every day. In the end, her candid interview did more than shut down a few rumors. It ripped the mask off the entire toxic cycle. It showed just how easily false narratives can be spun up by careless media figures and how much damage those lies can cause to the people caught in the middle. Boston's breaking point wasn't a collapse. It was clarity. It was a professional saying, I'll protect my peace, I'll ignore the noise, and I'll keep my focus where it belongs: the game. The feud never truly existed, but the consequences were very real. So now the question goes to you: who's more responsible for this toxic environment? the personalities who invent these stories, or the algorithms that reward them with endless clicks and engagement? Let us know your verdict in the comments. And if you believe, like we do, that the truth matters more than the manufactured drama, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss our next deep dive. And if you know another fan who's sick of hot takes and fake beef, share this video with them. Because every fan deserves to hear the real story.